Why is it so painfully difficult to release someone who clearly doesn't value you? The answer lies not in them, but in what their presence reveals about your own unconscious patterns. Throughout our lives, we encounter people who leave profound marks on our story. Some teach us about genuine connection and mutual growth. Others, however, seem to exist solely to remind us of disappointment and emotional exhaustion. But what happens when we cling to someone who doesn't see our worth? Why does letting go feel like tearing away a piece of ourselves? The psychological truth is that our most challenging relationships often reflect the hidden parts of ourselves we haven't yet acknowledged. When you find yourself repeatedly drawn to people who cannot reciprocate your love, this isn't coincidence. It's your unconscious mind projecting unresolved inner conflicts onto your external world. The patterns you keep experiencing are manifestations of beliefs you carry about your own worthiness. If deep down you feel you must earn love through suffering, you will inevitably attract situations that confirm this belief. Letting go, then, becomes far more than simply releasing another person. It becomes a profound act of self-discovery. When you insist on holding on to something that drains you, you're ignoring a lesson your soul is trying to teach you. Think of those moments when you knew a relationship wasn't serving you, yet you stayed. You justified their behavior, convinced yourself they would change, believed that with more effort they would finally see your value. The difficult truth is that the problem isn't in them. It's in what the relationship activates within you. Our most complicated connections often reflect our shadow self, the hidden aspects of our personality we refuse to acknowledge. The shadow isn't inherently negative, but when we deny its existence, it controls us from the depths of our unconscious. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. So what happens when you finally choose to release what no longer serves you? The moment you decide to let go, you take control of your own story. You realize you're not destined to suffer for love or beg for scraps of affection. You are the one who decides whether to remain in a draining battle or take a step toward your true evolution. It's natural to feel fear when facing the idea of letting go. Our psyche clings to what's familiar, even when that familiarity causes pain. The uncertainty of the unknown can be terrifying. But real growth only occurs when we confront our inner darkness. Letting go of someone who doesn't value you is, at its core, an act of self-love. It's telling your unconscious mind, I recognize myself, I respect myself, and I choose relationships that align with my true worth. To let go doesn't mean to hate or wish harm upon another person. It means freeing yourself from the need to fit into a story where you clearly don't belong. It means giving yourself the opportunity to create new experiences where you're genuinely seen and appreciated for who you are, without having to force anything. As you move forward on this journey, you'll discover that when you release what isn't meant for you, your energy shifts. And with that shift, the people and circumstances you attract begin to change. Meaningful coincidences, the universe's way of guiding us, become evident in your life. If a relationship has pushed you to your limits, if it's made you question your self-worth, it's because something within you needs healing. And often, that healing can only happen when you have the courage to say enough. Your unconscious mind is always communicating with you, sending signals and messages. But too often we ignore them because we're busy justifying our pain. We tell ourselves we might be overreacting, that love requires sacrifice, that if we just hold on a little longer, everything will improve. But the truth is, love isn't about constant struggle nor about proving your worth. True love, the kind that nurtures and expands your soul, flows naturally. If you have to convince someone to value you, then you're simply not in the right place. It's time to start trusting that inner voice we've silenced so many times. Ask yourself, what do I truly deserve? If your answer is genuine love, respect, and reciprocity, then start moving in the direction of those experiences. Stop holding on to what's breaking you. Let go with confidence, with gratitude for the lessons learned, and with the certainty that what comes next is infinitely better. When you decide to release, something within you changes on a profound level. You're no longer trying to fit into a mold that doesn't belong to you, nor exhausting yourself seeking breadcrumbs of affection from someone who is never willing to offer you more. At that moment, a psychological phenomenon occurs, the integration of your shadow self. That part of you that once begged for love, that searched for validation in the wrong places, begins to be illuminated by consciousness. And when you bring awareness to your patterns, you're no longer a prisoner to them. People often resist letting go because they believe they'll lose something valuable. But ask yourself, how valuable can something truly be if it makes you feel unworthy? Unnecessary suffering is a choice. Often we cling to pain out of fear of what comes next, fear of the unknown. Our mind creates an illusion, a false narrative that convinces us a certain relationship is all we have left, that without that person we'll never find anything better. This is where the process of self-realization comes into play, one of psychology's most profound and transformative ideas. Self-realization is the process of recognizing your intrinsic worth, of no longer defining yourself through the eyes of others. It's the understanding that you don't need external validation to feel complete. It's fascinating how often we cling to unbalanced relationships, hoping the other person will change, that one day they'll wake up and recognize our worth. Yet if you examine this desire closely, you'll see that the longing to be acknowledged by someone who doesn't truly appreciate us is merely a reflection of a much deeper wound within ourselves. Why do we seek validation from those who disregard us? Why do we feel the need for someone else's approval to believe we're enough? These patterns stem from unresolved wounds in our psyche, often formed during childhood. Perhaps we learned to associate love with sacrifice. Perhaps at some point we were taught that we must struggle for affection, that love must be earned rather than received freely. But here's the truth. Real love doesn't require suffering. The right person won't make you feel like you have to fight for their attention. If you're in a relationship where you constantly feel the need to prove your worth, that's a clear sign this connection is misaligned with your essence. Letting go of someone who doesn't value you is not only an act of self-love, it's an act of psychological maturity. It signifies that you've reached a level of awareness where you recognize that you cannot continue investing your energy in something that only drains you. It means understanding that your time, your love, and your presence are gifts, and not everyone deserves access to them. Because once you recognize your own worth, the dynamics begin to shift. You no longer settle for the bare minimum. You no longer chase after those who don't wish to stay. You stop trying to fit into spaces that make you feel small. Instead, you become someone who consciously chooses the type of relationships they want in their life. More often than not, the fear of loneliness is what prevents people from letting go. But the real danger lies in disconnection from oneself. You can be surrounded by people and still feel utterly alone if you lack a deep connection with yourself. On the other hand, when you cultivate that connection, when you truly know yourself, solitude ceases to be a problem. You no longer crave external validation. You no longer depend on another's presence to feel whole. And in that state, relationships transform. They're no longer a desperate need, but a conscious choice. You're with someone not because you need them, but because you genuinely choose them from a place of wholeness, not from a place of lack. Transformation begins the moment you stop focusing on what you've lost and start seeing what you've gained. Right now, it may feel like letting go is the most painful thing you could do. But what if, in reality, it's the step that will lead you to a more authentic life? All profound change is accompanied by an internal crisis, and that's exactly what you're experiencing. The discomfort of stepping out of an emotional comfort zone that, although harmful, was familiar. But this discomfort is temporary. It's the necessary process of rebirth, of reconstructing yourself from a place of self-love and awareness. Think of it this way. Every time you hold on to someone who doesn't value you, you're closing the door to those who would. As long as you continue investing your energy in a relationship that isn't meant for you, there will be no space for something better to enter your life. The universe doesn't bring new opportunities when you're still clinging to the past. Letting go isn't a loss, it's a liberation. It's an act of faith in yourself, in your ability to attract healthy relationships, in your right to be loved the way you deserve. The biggest mistake you can make is waiting for someone else to change in order for your life to improve. True transformation always starts from within. So instead of waiting for another person to suddenly realize your worth, begin valuing yourself enough to close that chapter. Because when you recognize your own worth, everything in your life begins to change. The people who once ignored your presence suddenly notice your absence. Those who took your love for granted start to realize what they lost. But by then, it's no longer about them. It's about you, your growth, your new perspective on life. And this is where something extraordinary happens. When you finally let go, when you release what was never meant for you, the universe responds. New opportunities begin to appear. Genuine connections start to enter your life. And what once felt like an unbearable void transforms into a space filled with potential and renewal. Not because someone else came to fill it, but because now you fill that space with self-love, with authenticity, with the certainty that you deserve something better. Never underestimate the power of a single decision. When you choose to let go, you're not just freeing yourself from a relationship that no longer serves you. You're taking the first step toward becoming a new version of yourself. A version that no longer settles for less than what they deserve. A version that no longer begs for love. A version that no longer needs to convince anyone of their worth. Because when you truly know yourself and love yourself, life begins to reflect that love back to you in everything that surrounds you. When you make the decision to let go, a part of you will resist. The ego will try to cling to the story you've built, to the illusion of what could have been, to the hope that if you just wait long enough, things will change. But time doesn't change people. People change when they choose to. And if someone hasn't shown the intention to value you by now, waiting will only cost you more of what you've already given away. Attachment to a relationship that no longer serves us isn't just an emotional bond. It's a reflection of a much deeper internal struggle. You're not merely fighting for the relationship itself. You're battling against an unconscious belief that has been deeply ingrained in your psyche. This belief tells you that without this person, you're not valuable enough, that your worth depends on their presence, on their validation. But the truth is that your worth has never been dictated by another's gaze. Your value has always existed within you. But perhaps you haven't yet learned to recognize it because you've spent too much time searching for it in the wrong places, in the eyes of those who could never truly see you. When you let go, you free yourself from this internal war. You no longer need to prove anything or justify your love through unnecessary sacrifices. On the contrary, the act of letting go transforms into an act of supreme self-love. It's the moment when you finally choose yourself. It's the realization that you no longer have to wait for someone else to notice you when you have the power to see yourself. True connection is never forced, never begged for, never demanded. It happens naturally when two souls resonate with each other, when both freely choose to be present without conditions or expectations. There's something profoundly powerful that happens when you decide to take this step. You stop living according to what the other person does or doesn't do, and instead you begin to reclaim your own energy, the energy you had invested in someone else, the energy you had wasted on worries, on trying to fit in, on attempting to salvage what was never meant to be saved. And when that energy returns to you, something transformative occurs. You start to see clearly. You become aware of how much you had been denying yourself in your desperate attempt to hold on to something that was never truly yours. But beyond that realization, you begin to open yourself up to new possibilities. Meaningful coincidences become evident in your life. New people appear, unexpected opportunities arise, and you start to see that life was never against you. It was simply waiting for you to find the courage to release the old so that the new could take its place. But none of this can happen if you remain trapped in the same story, if you continue to pour your energy into a place where it's not appreciated. There's no greater act of power than saying enough when something no longer resonates with you. Not out of bitterness, not out of resentment, but out of the deep awareness that you deserve better. This is where many people struggle. They believe that letting go is a passive act, that it means surrendering to loss. But letting go isn't about losing, it's about gaining. It's about gaining freedom, gaining space for what truly belongs to you, gaining a version of yourself that no longer clings to what causes pain. There's no awakening of consciousness without pain, and letting go does hurt. It hurts because it means saying goodbye to a part of your life, to a bond in which you invested time, love, and hope. But that pain is temporary. What's eternal is the peace that follows, the lightness that comes from no longer carrying a relationship that didn't flow, a love that wasn't reciprocated, a story that existed only in your mind but never fully materialized in reality. And in this process of letting go, something incredible happens. You rediscover yourself. You realize that you can be alone without feeling lonely, that you can look at yourself in the mirror without needing someone else's approval, that you are enough, not because someone tells you so, but because you've come to understand it from the depths of your being. And when you reach this point, everything changes. You no longer settle for less. You no longer tolerate what you once endured. You no longer allow the fear of solitude to keep you in places where you're not valued. That's the true meaning of letting go. It's not simply releasing a person. It's releasing the version of yourself that believed you had to fight for love, that thought love had to be earned through suffering and struggle. It's saying goodbye to fear, to lack, to emotional dependence. It's a rebirth, a transformation into someone who chooses from a place of abundance rather than from a place of desperation. The most important relationship we will ever have is the one we have with ourselves. And when that relationship is strong, when you truly know and value yourself, you will never again have to beg for love, because you will finally understand that what is truly meant for you will never require you to chase it. It will come naturally, effortlessly, without struggle, without depletion. Letting go isn't giving up. It's having the courage to recognize that you deserve more. It's taking a step into the unknown with the faith that what lies ahead is far better than what you're leaving behind. And when you finally do this, when you make the decision to close that chapter, you realize that true self-love isn't just about saying affirmations in the mirror. It's about the choices you make every single day. And the most powerful choice you can ever make is to choose yourself over any relationship that fails to value you. When you finally choose yourself, when you decide to let go of what's hurting you, something profound happens inside of you. The energy that was once trapped in struggle, in uncertainty, in the hope that someone else would change, returns to you with a newfound strength. It's as if the heavy burden you've been carrying suddenly lifts, allowing you to breathe again. And in that moment, you realize that it was never the relationship that bound you. It was the belief that without it you would be incomplete. The fear of letting go doesn't come from the loss itself, but from the mistaken idea that without this person you will not find anything as good or better. But here's the truth. When you release what does not value you, you create space for what truly does. Letting go is an act of faith. Faith in yourself. Faith in the flow of life. Faith in the certainty that what is meant for you will arrive at the right moment without force, without struggle, without resistance. But for this to happen, you must first have the courage to close the door that keeps you trapped in a place where you're no longer happy. The journey toward wholeness isn't just about self-discovery. It's about integration, about learning to embrace every part of who you are, both the light and the shadow. And a crucial aspect of this path involves learning to let go. Releasing without fear, trusting that what leaves your life isn't a loss, but a redirection. Every time someone walks away from your life, every time a relationship comes to an end, a door opens for deep introspection. Instead of clinging to what was, you have an opportunity to ask yourself, what is this experience revealing about me? Perhaps it's showing you that you still struggle to set boundaries, that you continue to seek validation in the wrong places, whether there are wounds within you that need healing before you can truly attract a love that aligns with your worth. When you resist letting go, what you're really doing is prolonging your own suffering. You hold on to an idealized version of what could have been, to a future that exists only in your mind, to the belief that if you just try harder, everything will change. But the truth is, love should never feel like a battle where you're the only one fighting. Love isn't meant to be a constant struggle. If someone cannot see your value, if they're unwilling to walk beside you with respect and reciprocity, then that person isn't meant to stay in your life. And that's okay. Not everyone is destined to be a permanent part of your journey. But that doesn't mean you should cling to those who have already shown you through their actions that they cannot or will not give you what you need. The real issue isn't the person who fails to appreciate you. It's what you choose to do with that reality. You can continue waiting, making excuses, and turning a blind eye to the truth. Or you can choose to honor yourself, to stop investing your energy in something that does not nourish you, to create space in your life for relationships that genuinely add value to your existence. Sometimes the fear of letting go stems from the idea that we will be alone. But true loneliness isn't the absence of someone else. It's the disconnection from our own being. There are people who are constantly surrounded by others yet still feel empty because external company cannot fill the void left by an inauthentic connection. The only thing that truly fills that emptiness is your connection with yourself, with your purpose, your essence, your truth. When you choose to let go, you send a powerful message to your subconscious that you trust yourself, that you choose yourself, that you do not need to hold on to a relationship that diminishes you in order to feel whole. And the moment you do that, everything begins to align. Life responds to the energy you put out. When you operate from a place of need, of lack, of fear, you attract more of the same. But when you radiate security, self-worth, and the unwavering conviction that you deserve better, the people who enter your life will reflect that same energy back to you. Love is not suffering. Love is not constant sacrifice. Love does not require you to shrink yourself in order to make someone else comfortable. Real love is free, expansive, and a space where you can be your true self without fear of being not enough. If you've ever felt that you needed to change in order to be loved, if you felt that you were giving far more than you were receiving, then that is not the right relationship for you. And that doesn't mean you should blame the other person or hold on to resentment. It simply means that it's time to let go, to release, to trust that what is ahead will be far greater than what you're leaving behind. The unconscious constantly sends us signals, but often we choose not to listen. How many times have you felt deep inside that something wasn't right? That quiet whisper within you telling you that a certain relationship, a certain situation is not meant for you. Yet you ignored it. That is your intuition speaking. That is your unconscious mind trying to reveal to you what you do not want to see. But there comes a moment when you can no longer look away from the truth. And when you finally choose to face it, when you decide to act in alignment with it, everything changes. It is natural to feel sadness when something ends. It is human to miss what once was, to wonder what might have been if things had played out differently. But don't get stuck in that thought. Don't idealize what has already ended. Instead, shift your focus to everything you can build from this moment forward. See the opportunity in front of you, the opportunity to create healthier relationships, to learn from your experiences, to evolve into the person you are meant to become. Letting go does not mean forgetting. It does not mean denying what you have lived. It simply means choosing your peace over a love that does not serve you. It means trusting that pain is temporary, but liberation is permanent. It means understanding that what feels like a loss today will in time be recognized as the beginning of something far greater. When you look back, you will realize that every time you release something that no longer aligned with you, something better took its place. Maybe not immediately. Maybe you had to go through a period of rebuilding, but in the end, everything fell into place in the best possible way. And this time will be no different. This time, too, you will find clarity. You will find peace. You will find a certainty that you made the right decision. The key is to trust. Trust in yourself. Trust in your intuition. Trust in the knowing that what is truly meant for you will never make you question your worth. Do not fear letting go. Do not fear closing a door, because by doing so, you're opening yourself up to everything you genuinely deserve. When you finally release, when you consciously decide to stop investing your energy in what does not appreciate you, something within you shifts permanently. The peace you have been searching for in others' validation, in the hope that someone would change, begins to emerge from within. You realize that you never needed anyone else's approval to feel whole, because wholeness does not come from outside. It is the love you choose to give yourself. And it is in that moment that you finally understand psychology's greatest lesson. Every experience we have in relationships is nothing more than a reflection of our relationship with ourselves. If you have clung to someone who does not value you, it is because on some level you have not fully valued yourself. But now, with this new awareness, with this deeper understanding of your own being, you can no longer go back. You have changed. You have evolved. And now you can see with absolute clarity what you once refused to accept. By letting go, you're not only freeing the other person, you are freeing yourself. You are releasing the weight of expecting someone else to make you happy. You're ceasing to search for love outside of yourself and beginning to cultivate it within. And when you do that, when you truly choose yourself, your entire world transforms. You no longer attract love from a place of need, but from a place of abundance. The fear of loneliness dissolves because you recognize that you have never truly been alone. You have always had the most important person with you, yourself. And in this process of reconstruction, of rediscovery, you begin to see how everything in your life starts to shift. Your energy changes. Your choices become more intentional. And the people who enter your life do so because they align with this new version of you. What once hurt you now becomes a lesson, a memory of who you were and what you will no longer tolerate. Now you have the power to inspire others, because there are so many people just like you who have felt the pain of holding on to something that was never meant for them. If this message resonated with you, then surely someone else out there needs to hear it too. Share this with others. Leave a comment below telling me what part of this message spoke to your soul. What decision are you ready to make today? Let's build a community centered on self-love and consciousness, where we understand that letting go is not losing. It is gaining something far greater, the freedom to be who we truly are. You took an important step today by listening to this message. Now the next step is yours. Are you ready to choose yourself? If this exploration of self-worth and letting go resonated with you, please support the channel by liking this video and following Winds of Thought for more journeys into the human psyche.